for the record, we can say that Joe Covington, Mayor Jenkins, and then Gina Amos is here representing as proxy for Billy Parker. So if the record would reflect that, we can move forward with approval of the minutes from the last meeting, which was 12/13/2023. Those minutes were shared via email. Is there any other questions or comments related to those as presented?
I just wanted to point out item number 4. We added a little bit to that from what Pam had originally put on there. KLC had requested some more detail regarding the insurance discussion that we had. So that's why there was a bit of a delay, but we've now added that to that. And also, just wanted to let you know, I'll be getting with each of the 3 commissioners, admins, to try to get a meeting scheduled, because I'll need all 3 of you to sign some documents. We also have some new banking documents for Whitaker for 2024. So just FYI, that's why there was a bit of a delay on the minutes.
No problem. Any other questions or comments? And would there be a motion to accept as presented?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Thank you all very much. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move over to number 4, old business, and I'll turn it over to Scott Hall.
Okay, our waiver window that we did from 10/1 to 12/31, we've already had some discussion about that. I just wanted to bring it up at this point because you'll see when we do the general discussion, we had over 300 accounts that were closed in the month of December. That was a direct result of the waiver window, and a lot of the accounts that wound up back with Jessica, and I'll just let Jessica add anything she wants to put in there to that as well.
Yeah, I just have a couple numbers. I know these are just my numbers, so these won't be the total numbers for all of the staff, but just for the legal collections portion, because we do track that separately as part of my role. So from November the 1st to today, 592 accounts were closed. Of those, 290 were closed with complete resolution, meaning they paid or were rightfully closed and no longer conducting business here. So that's the best result. And there was 302 accounts that were administratively inactivated, which means they had no balance but no contact for 3 years. So under our policies, we administratively inactivate those as doing no business. So those are all really good resolutions. So again, 592 since November the 1st. So that's the entire waiver window that we were looking at. I also have gotten 25 payment plans structured as a result of the 850 accounts that came to me as part of that waiver window letter. And in that same period have collected almost 130,000 of delinquent taxes just for that period. So I wanted to present you those numbers. I know ultimately Scott and I are going to put together some cost numbers to look at for the entirety of the waiver window project. The reason we don't have those is that our postage is ongoing, because you can imagine sending out, because we sent out approximately like 4,000 letters in total. So you can imagine the returned mail and the things that we're still processing as a result of that. So ultimately what we want to present you is here's what that, I'm sorry. Did somebody say?
I think Michelle's got a hot mic there.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, so ultimately we'll have those numbers for you to show you what it cost and what we estimate that we've collected in delinquent revenues from the project. But I think those are some pretty good numbers from my point of view in terms of the letters that I sent out. We've gotten a lot of resolution for a lot of old debts and a lot of payment plans in place. So that's the only thing that I would add to it. There are going to be costs, and eventually we will have those for you once the returned mail begins to slow down. I know Pam just got probably 50 of my letters back yesterday. So that project is ongoing.
Yes, we'll have a comprehensive after action report on this waiver window project in a future meeting, but it's still kind of an ongoing project even into 2024 as we clean up the operation. But just wanted to share that with everybody. Any questions on any of that?
It's a great update, and definitely a lot of action there. So we appreciate that for sure. Positive.
And ultimately, what I hope to do, I actually have that written down to get done this week, is to run some new compliance numbers for each of the jurisdictions with the account updates that we have based on this. Because obviously, as those accounts have closed, then we've seen compliance numbers shift. So my goal would be by the end of this month to have you all some new compliance numbers after we had that discussion in the fall with the 51, 52%. So hopefully those numbers have edged a little, and I will get that information to you as soon as we get some of these sort of outstanding ones that are still stacked on my desk that I know are going to be resolved soon. We will get you some new numbers so that you can see what direction we're going in.
Jessica, that has been I've been asked a few times by a couple magistrates about updates on, basically what's going on to try to address that. And those numbers would be much appreciated to be able to share. And then, then we could share a synopsis as well as of other ongoing activities that are trying
absolutely.
to address that. So I appreciate your all's work on this very much. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I'll get those numbers, and Scott and I will get together to do, just to let you know some of the key things that we're doing to try and specifically target that. I see that Scott has brought up the second item there, and I guess it's a good leeway to talk about that because the letter to the Attorney General, no, this isn't the letter. Okay, just as I'll go ahead and mention that, Scott, so that, because I know that was on there too.
Yeah, the commissioners had requested some additional information on this tax filing status for the Revenue Commission. So Jessica,
correct.
That's the second old business item here. Jessica has an update on that as well.
Yeah, I just want to let you, this is a real brief one. You all have received this, the commissioners as well as legal counsel for each of the jurisdictions has received a copy of this memo. Basically, you had requested that we give a more in-depth discussion of the issue concerning our federal tax exemption status. And that's what I did with some background discussion and where things are at currently. I haven't, I sent that out last week, so I'm sure it's still being looked at and reviewed for ultimately for us to bring more clarity on what would be the best guidance for the commission moving forward. So that's what that document is. Essentially, it just goes through what we've already discussed, which is that currently, though we are a government in nature and purpose, we don't have that status. We're currently listed as a corporation with the Kentucky Secretary of State, and it goes through and details the cost and the process if we want to seek a IRS private letter ruling to be declared a government entity. So I also included in there the opinion, and I think I've spoken with several people that believe this to be true, that because we have the informational letter stating that our function and purpose is governmental in nature, that is typically that's usually what people will take for substantiation, short of a federal agency, including, as we talk about KLCIS, they are going to take our information letter as substantiation of our purpose. So I don't think it's an immediate action that we have to take, but the information about it is in this memo, which all of your councils should have. So, but in terms of the AG letter, I do want to just update you briefly and let you know that I heard back from all council representing jurisdictions, and that was actually sent to the Attorney General yesterday, where we're seeking clarification on whether or not we can publish that delinquent list. And so I just want you all to know that that's going out. Obviously, that's a direct result of our compliance efforts, but just as an update for that as well.
Yeah, and just kind of as a refresher, this IRS private letter ruling, this is the situation where they'd be happy to help clean this up for us for a $27,000 fee.
At minimum.
Minimum, yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks. No, thanks for that update. Any questions from Mayor Jenkins or Gina in regards to that update?
No,
sir.
I don't. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the third old business item here is the lockbox with Fifth Third. We hit a snag at the end of November in our implementation on that, and we basically took a break for December, gave them a chance to regroup, gave us a chance to regroup. Essentially, we have a whole new project team, and Jessica and I met with them last week, and we're cautiously optimistic. I think these folks that we're dealing with now are seem to have a little bit better handle on the situation and what we want. So we'll keep you updated as that's moving forward. But there was no activity on that in December by design. And so we have given them some new information. They know where we stand. I believe they agree and own the fact that they did not handle this well the first few months that we were trying to do this, and we're hopeful that moving forward, it'll be a more positive experience. Anything else, Jessica, you want to add to that?
I would just say that we did have a very difficult meeting on the 18th. It was a very blunt, here is what we need, can you deliver it type of meeting. So I am hopeful in terms of them hearing us and what our needs are and what has to be delivered. I'm probably less hopeful on the idea that they're going to deliver it. So I think that's important, because I know this has been an ongoing conversation for now, I mean, completely honest, almost 2 years. So there was a lot of delays for a lot of different reasons during that time period. But I think it's important that everybody knows that's kind of where we're at in terms of needing a deliverable that will meet our needs. And right now they have not provided that. So I think that's important.
Yes, and I made it very clear that, given what we're seeing right now, if this is the deliverable, this is a non-starter for us, because it would actually take us more time instead of creating efficiencies for us and having us have to spend less time processing what comes in every single day. It would be more. We would be better off to continue doing what we're doing with paper. And I think they got the hint.
Well, very good. I hope that bears some fruit in your all's extra effort. And I often use that phrase, cautiously optimistic. So I'm glad you're cautiously optimistic, but we do understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Any other questions related there?
No, sir.
So moving to number 5, I reviewed those 6 different files, and there seems to be a common theme amongst those. Can you all confirm and make sure I'm correct? All 6 of these refunds, staff are recommending the refund. Is that correct?
That's correct. A lot of them, and this does happen from time to time, they move refunds credits forward from year to year to be essentially a deposit on the future year tax return or returns. There are a couple of differences. I think the last one, a couple of them, they didn't take the whole credit. They said keep 18,000 on file, but give us a credit, a refund of 35,000. But they will, as they miscalculate their anticipated net profit or payroll, they will move these credits or in this case, it's all net profits, not payroll. I'm sorry. They will move these credits forward year after year, and at some point they will accumulate to a number where they'll say, okay, well, now send us the money, or keep half of it and send us the other half. But yes, that is a common theme, and I think 6 refunds in 1 month is a record. So,
and I would imagine, Scott, that's because the extended deadline of 10/15. A lot of those are after they've filed their extended net profit, so that's why there's so many, obviously.
Yeah, this is us processing through what came in. Actually, was it the 17th or 18th of October?
It was the 17th, or I think it was the 17th.
Yeah, so it's about 2 or 3 days later than usual, but that's why it's just now coming up. We're processing through these, auditing, making sure that their numbers match our numbers. So yes, there is a common theme with each of those, and I guess if you all have reviewed them, unless you want to go through them one at a time, you could approve them as a group. Would that be correct, Jessica? Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's what I was going to ask as well. Could we approve them as a group? And I would certainly favor that if that is permissible for us to do. So are there any questions about those refunds and as they are presented?
Questions?
There's one on the last one, the 6th one that's on there. I will point out that particular company, they are closing their account because the business has been sold. That is one thing that's different from the other 5. So a new entity, they're not closing up and leaving. The new entity has purchased that business. They're just closing their account and requesting the refund as a credit. So that one is a little bit different.
Yes. Questions or comments, and would there be a motion to accept and approve the refunds as presented?
I make a motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all. We'll run Scott to the next one with item number 6.
Okay, we have one penalty and interest abatement request here. Let me pull this up. I can find it. Can everyone see that or not?
The agenda is still up.
Okay, hang on just a second here. Operator error. There we go.
Yep.
Okay. This is a taxpayer requesting a $75 late filing penalties for net profit tax year 2021. It's 25 city, county, and school board. What this taxpayer did on each of the three examples on the form that they request us that would typically satisfy a reasonable cause for abatement, they checked NA, which appreciate the honesty there, but in the written narrative, basically the taxpayer just admits that the delinquency was due to an oversight on his part. He states that he files his own taxes, reported a loss for 2021, but that he just failed to forward a copy to us. Unfortunately, per our policy, this does not establish a reasonable cause for abatement. It's our recommendation to deny this request. However, when the notification goes out, the taxpayer will be informed that they are welcome to submit additional relevant information, and we'd be happy to reconsider the decision.
Questions or comments in regards to that review?
None here.
None here.
Would there, with the staff recommendation of the denial of that request, would there be a motion to deny that request officially as recommended?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. That'll move us to number 7, serial late filer and check bouncer / criminal non-payer discussion. That's a whole mouthful.
Yeah, it is. With the chair's permission, I'd like to do this out of order. Can we do general discussion first and save that for last? Would that be all right?
1,000 times yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's go to general discussion. Everybody see that?
Mhm.
Okay, so we do have a new project that I want to show you here. This is the Cabinet for Economic Development report. It's called American Welding and Gas. They have a KBI project, which if they activate, it's right now it just has preliminary approval. This was approved December 7th. They're going to be hiring 10 new people for a KBI project. There's a companion project here, KEIA. That does not affect us. That is a sales tax rebate that they get directly from the state, but it's a companion with this. They do have final approval of that, so they'll start getting that rebate from the state on sales tax right away. But this is just preliminary, which is the very first step in this process for them. But once it gets final approval, they will be hiring 10 people, and they potentially have a wage credit on the payroll tax on that. So I just wanted, no action required on that, just wanted to present that to you. It's kind of a dry spell. We went from May to December with nothing new, and now we finally got a new project there. So just wanted to share that with you. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Thanks for that update. And I believe as time moves forward and we get closer to where our sanitary sewer project will be coming online, I think projects will ramp up 100 times. So
yes, and I've been
any
watching
comments?
I've been watching the news reports on the business park expansion as well.
And that's another positive thing in my opinion. So yes, 100%.
All right. So the next item we have here then is the KJRA payment to this employer. Nothing new here, except that we're getting close to the end of the fiscal year for this employer. This is reflecting the November payment. Of course, it's the same every month. December and January will be the last two payments. They will hit the cap, and then there will be no payments in February and March. So pretty standard. It's the same year after year. Any questions on that?
Yes, sir.
No questions for me.
All righty. All right. just a second here. All right, can everybody see this now?
Mhm.
Mhm.
All right. So we had the monthly tax collection stats. December was a huge month for us. We were up almost $1.6 million in aggregate collections for the month of December. You can see the city was up almost 39%, 662,000. County 669,000, almost 34%, and the school board up over $250,000 at almost a 50% increase. So that's a very strong month. I'll also go ahead now and pull up what I know you all are anxious to see, where we are halfway through the fiscal year. With the December numbers in, the second quarter was very strong, up $2.4 million over the prior year in aggregate collections. I just shared the numbers for December, but the quarterly numbers, the city was up another million, county's up almost $1 million, and the school board's up 346,000. So as we stand right now, with half of this fiscal year over, we are up $5.8 million over the last fiscal year. And the last fiscal year was a record. It was $5.1 million over the year before. So we're already almost $6 million over that with half the fiscal year done. In terms of aggregate collections, the city's up almost $2.5 million, the county 2.3, and the school board a little over $1 million. So that's where we stand on the quarterly collection stats.
Very positive news, and that trend is very helpful, and no doubt. Any
Okay.
other questions or comments there? Thank you all for that detail, and that's appreciated much.
A couple of other items here. Just FYI, in December, I met with some other COLA members at KLC's headquarters in Lexington with the Kentucky Society of CPAs. The topic was standardized forms and modernization. There's been some new people at the Kentucky Society of CPAs. It's actually started back during the summer. Chairman Bridges had asked us to come meet with him, COLA, to talk about this because he had met with the society. And I think they just didn't really understand the steps that had been taken over decades, really, to modernize and standardize the form. So it was a very positive meeting. We've always had a good relationship with the Society of CPAs, and it was, if anything else, it was even bolstered after this meeting. They were appreciative of the information, and we look forward to continuing to have a collaborative relationship with them moving forward. But it was a very positive meeting and very educational for the society as well, as far as what we've done to standardize occupational license tax filing over the decades. And actually, it was a bit of a history lesson. It actually started in 1974 when Lexington and Fayette County merged. So we went through the whole, all those decades with them. The other thing here is we do have a virtual meeting scheduled with the city of Paducah on February 9th. They have reached out to us wanting to have a brainstorming session, talk about some things we're doing, some things they're doing. Looking forward to it. Should be interesting. They tax on gross receipts there. They have a 5-tier system, but we've caught their attention, and the Mayor Bray has reached out and had asked through KLC. He and I are communicating directly now, and we're looking forward to that meeting on February 9th.
Scott, could you? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Mayor Bray is with what city? I'm sorry.
Paducah, the city of Paducah, Mayor George Bray. Yeah, he and his team. Paducah has been very active in COLA as long as I've been there. They've got a great team out there. I had the good fortune of meeting their finance director as well at our fall conference in Henderson last year. So this is just kind of the next logical step of sharing and collaborating on ideas. So we're looking forward to it.
Yes, sir.
Now, back here on the general discussion, if you look over here, another record year, 1,398 new business licenses. These are not renewals. These are new accounts that are opened with us. Another record. We're averaging 117 a month. Of course, you also see we closed a lot. That's what we referenced earlier. If you look down here in December, 392 closed just in December, another 131 in November. So that's over 500 in 2 months, and that's a direct result of the waiver window project. But still another record year for last year was 1199, and this year we're up almost to 1400. So that's pretty astounding. And then if you look further down here, I updated all these numbers. It's been a while since we've run this. Like Jessica said, we're gonna be rerunning that again soon to kind of see where we stand. But I've updated all these numbers, and you can see just the steady increase in accounts as the years have gone on. So a lot of growth there. Any question on the general discussion item?
No, sir.
None from me. Thank you. Good information.
All right. So now we'll go to our serial late filer and check bouncer / criminal non-payer discussion. I'm going to let Jessica take the lead on this, but I don't know, Judge Covington, if you remember this, we had a situation with this taxpayer back in 2019, I think it was. I say serial because they're always filing late, they're always bouncing checks, and then we have to stop taking their checks and require certified funds. This is a taxpayer, an employer who has we essentially worked with GPD on a criminal complaint, because what's happening is it's not the taxpayer not paying their taxes, the employer, in terms of net profit. What's happening is they're withholding the occupational tax from the employees' paychecks and not remitting it to us, which is a crime. And if the arrears exceed $10,000, which they have, again, then it's a Class D, I believe, felony. D is in David. I believe that's correct, Jessica. It's a Class D felony. This employer is stealing the money from their employees and not remitting it to us. Now, I don't know if they're doing that with the feds in the state, but we know for a fact they're not giving the money to us. So, Jessica, we talked about it, and I think we want to go a different route. Obviously, the criminal route last time they did pay us, and it was over 30,000 back in 2019, I believe it was. But it didn't change the behavior. So I think we're going to look at perhaps a civil route, and I'll let Jessica take it from there.
So as Scott said, I first want to say, I think I've been here almost 6 years, and there's only been one action that we've taken, and that was a criminal action against this taxpayer. As Scott said, I think that speaks to our hesitance to try and pursue these collections. In terms of civil action, we try every possible remedy. I mean, I'm probably too lenient in terms of the flexibility that I afford, whether that's payment plans, staggered payments, anything that I can do to avoid those things. That's very important to me. So when I bring you someone that I think we need to look at next steps, I want you to have full faith that it has been thoroughly vetted. We have tried every avenue. And with this taxpayer specifically, I think it's important that you know that this account no longer will ever be back with just our staff. It resides in my office. I'm the one that processes every return for this account, because sometimes 12 to 15 checks a year will bounce, so they can no longer pay with checks, as Scott said. I do think it's important to note that I had sent multiple notices because we began receiving returns in July of last year without payment, which was the pattern that had been established previously that led to that criminal referral. And I suspended permit privileges at that time due to an issue with someone leaving that office. Those permits were not suspended. They have been suspended. I have confirmed that. I sent a letter last week as a Hail Mary to try and get compliance before coming to you guys, to the commission today. And I will tell you that literally 6 minutes before we started this call today, the taxpayer did come in, and his statement to me was that he would have 6,000 of the balance by the end of the day today or at first thing in the morning, and that the remaining balance would be paid by the 31st through certified funds. So I think it's important that you know that did happen today, because my request was going to be that we file civil action against this taxpayer for that established balance to get a judgment lien and begin to pursue that with other avenues, just because, as Scott said, this is trust money. This is money that they are collecting from their employees and telling us they're collecting it by remitting these payroll returns and failing to pay us with it. And in a discussion with the taxpayer, it's because that money is going into an operational account, and at the end of the month, that money is gone, and it isn't there for them to remit to us, which is a crime, and it has exceeded $10,000, which is a felony. And so, because of the course of action we took last time, we were told by that legal agency that's responsible for that they prefer for us to pursue these civilly rather than criminally. And so our only course of action, if the commission were to choose to do that, would be to file a civil action against this taxpayer and the named business owners. And so I don't know, I wanted to bring it to you because this will be the first one that we would file in this manner. I do think the gravity requires that we do something so that we don't get to that $25,000, $30,000 mark like we previously did. And I truly believe the behavior is not going to change because, again, since our first criminal case, they have bounced, I think, 18 checks with us in total. They can no longer submit checks. The account is permanently a legal account. So that kind of shows you the gravity of this account. So I want to get your guidance on what you would like for me to do. I know the information this morning probably changes that, but I just wanted to bring that to you and ask if you want me to pursue that civilly, if we want to set, that's a possibility. Another possibility would be that we see if they uphold this payment structure that they've given us and have that debt paid by the 31st. And if not, then I file civil action against them for that balance. So I think those are our primary options.
Jessica,
Mhm.
I'd like to make the motion that if they do not pay as they have pledged to you this morning, that after the 31st, that you pursue civil recourse.
Okay.
I second that.
Yeah, and I think the fact of the matter is, you want to give them their due diligence because they can always say, hey, we was trying to work something out and we don't want to cut the legs from under them. We give them an opportunity, and if they fail to do that, then they gives us no recourse but to do that. So I'm good with
I
that.
also think it's important that you guys, the commission knows that since August, when this issue began, they have received 12 notices from me. So they fully understand I think that's important to know as well.
So do you, Jessica and Scott, just, this is not new.
Mhm.
It's not, are you all good with this path?
I am. I like to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I try my best to be flexible. So if they make the payment and they stay on course, I think the only thing I would add to that is at the next failure to remit that we file a civil, like we just begin to immediately file. It's worth the $25 filing fee, I think, to get that pattern of behavior changed as much as is possible, if it's possible. And to me, I'm at the point where I'm ready to say this will be something I will spend my time pursuing every time they fail to do this.
Well, that was the intent of my motion.
Mm-hmm.
And I would request that in writing, that we send in writing one more time, certified letter. Let's just do that.
Mm-hmm.
To let them understand that if they do not pay as they have pledged today, that after the 31st, the commission will be filing civil action. Gina and Mayor Jenkins, are you all good with that?
Yeah, and I will also add that in that notice too, to let them know that any future action where they fail to pay, we're going to immediately do that. We're going to file civil, right there. That way they know that, they don't get another chance. That if it happens again, the first time they do that, then we're going to take civil action against them.
Okay, I will do that. I will also copy your council, each of your respective council on that, so they know where that's at. And I'll begin doing that. I personally think there's nothing else that we're going to do that would change that behavior. And it's criminal, and no other business that we have, no account that I have is this habitual. So I do think it's at the level where that's appropriate.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
with that said, so we've got a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I appreciate your all's work on that, and it's regrettable that we're at the point where we're at, but I do agree that this is the path that needs to be taken. So appreciate it. And Scott, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you all very much. The last item we have here is our next regularly scheduled meeting is Wednesday, February 28th. However, I have a conflict. That's KLC City Day, City Night. I'm on the board, so I'll be in Frankfurt all day and part of the evening as well. I could make another day that week work if you want to move it back a week, if Wednesday's a better day. The 21st we could do at 10 a.m. if you want to move it back. It'll be a special call either way, so I'll leave that up to you all.
Could I request, since I'm not at my desk, can I request that we send out an email to the commission and just throw a couple options out and ask everybody to look at their calendar, and then we can set a date and time to try to navigate that conflict?
That's what I'll do.
I know
that
Tuesdays and
sound-
Thursdays are bad for Billy. If you could kind of avoid Tuesdays and Thursdays if possible, but
Okay,
Does that sound like a reasonable plan for everybody?
absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, that's all we have unless you have any more items or questions.
None from me. Anyone else?
No,
And is
sir.
there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. I appreciate your all's time and flexibility today, and be safe, and we'll talk soon.